Hi, everyone. I'm Chef Adrianne Calvo, and welcome back to the Chef AF podcast, part of Foodable Podcast Network. Today, we're exploring how chefs and cooks stay inspired and cultivate their creativity. Stay tuned to learn about chef-to-guest relationships, local and sustainable sourcing, and about being a chef in Miami, and much more. Hi, Venoy. It's great to have you on the show today.
Hi, thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started as a chef.
All right. Well, I'm originally from San Diego, from Oceanside, California, Southern California. Born and raised there. I actually grew up in Oklahoma. From about 14 to 30 years old, I lived in Oklahoma, and that's where I got started actually cooking professionally. I went to culinary school in Oklahoma City, and my first couple jobs were there before I actually ended up moving back to San Diego and working in a few places there, and then got with Destination Hotels and Resorts. I was working at one of their properties that was out there in Estancia, out in La Jolla, California. And from there, I actually got on their task force. And so I was able to kind of move around. I went everywhere from Stowe, Vermont to Phoenix, Arizona. I was in Washington at one point, and then actually ended up in Aspen or Snowmass Village for about 2 years. After that, I moved back to San Diego, and then took over position at the W in San Diego, and then about 5 years ago moved to Miami.
Wow.
And did a couple years down in Miami Beach, and then the last 3 years I've been here in Orlando.
Wow. Okay. So what would you say is your favorite part, or actually your favorite city?
It's a tough one because Florida has definitely grown on me. For me, Chef, I have to kind of answer it in two parts. It's like the culinary scene, the chef community and stuff like that. I'd have to give it to Florida, Miami in particular. But as far as places to live, definitely Aspen. It's just way too hot for me here in Florida. I love the snow and everything like that. So I guess if I could take that booming food scene that's going on in Miami and coming up in Orlando and be in the mountains of Colorado would be a perfect setting for me.
That's great. I love Aspen. It's one of my favorite like cities in all of the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chef, how do you cultivate chef to guest relationships?
Oh, wow. Definitely a super important part, of running a restaurant or any kind of food establishment for that matter. But I think that one of the best ways I do is kind of old school, obviously touching tables, talking to the guests, trying to be involved in whatever foodie community there is. Up here in Orlando, we have Tasty Chomps that does a great job of kind of getting together local foodies and just kind of bringing them to selected restaurants. So anytime you have a group of people in there, whether it be influencers or just good old foodies that are going to be customers, any chance you get to go out and actually touch the table, talk to them, introduce yourself, that works. The wine dinners, beer dinners, regular service, myself, and all of my sous as well. I have an exec sous and two sous chefs, and if they're on the shift, they're required to go out and just kind of touch tables and talk to people. So we definitely use those methods. I think social media is another one. I've had a lot of guest interaction via social media that turned into some great things. Everybody's doing Omakase and things like that, and I actually started Americas, which is our version of that, and it came through social media, through a guest contacting me on one of my own, my personal social media site, and we talk back and forth, and next thing you know, we have this kind of custom tasting, Americas situation that's going on, and we've done, almost a dozen of these dinners now.
So, Chef, that brings me to my next question about social media. How important is it for restaurants?
Again, I think it's super important. Social media. It's obviously not totally necessary. There's a lot of great chefs and restaurants that don't do much on social media, and they're super successful. But it's a tool that we can use. I know myself. I promote my restaurant and my hotel, my resort on my social media. I mean, almost 100%. You might catch a picture of my wife or daughter on occasion, but it's pretty much food or work or events or things like that, stuff that we have going on. I try to use it. I actually set up my first Instagram because of the restaurant that I was working at when I was down in Miami. Actually, that's why I set it up. And I find it's just a great way to interact. Like I said before, it allows you to kind of the public to have you at a direct message away or a comment away that they could say something to you or ask you a question. Definitely had plenty of cooking questions asked, whether it be family or the community, other chefs. So I think it's huge. I have an executive one of my sous chefs that started with me about almost 2 years ago, and he came in and, on his social media, his Instagram, he had, a few pictures here or there of food, and most of the pictures were him, smiling to the camera in his uniform or something. I just kind of showed him, without trying to, of course, letting him know that I'm not a guru, I'm not an expert at social media by any means, but just showed him some of the things that I was doing with it. And the guy, like everything else, took it and ran with it. And just recently was in the Orlando Sentinel doing a write-up about social media and chefs and social media. So I've seen a ton of benefits. One of the big ones for us was the America. Everybody's doing these omakase tastings and things like that. And I mean, as chefs, we kind of have done that. Anytime you have a chef come visit, you usually kind of just go off the cuff and do something. They leave it in your hands and you just kind of send them out some stuff. Well, we had one of our local foodies reach out to me and ask if I could do a tasting for him and 6 of his friends in the restaurant. And I, of course, obliged. And from that was born our version of omakase, which I dubbed Americas, and we do. And up to this point now, we've done a number of these dinners. It's been very successful for the restaurant. It's been a great way to kind of showcase the talent that we have behind the scenes. We have a restaurant and a menu and everything, but it's good to play sometimes and to have some fun. So I am a big proponent of social media. I even let my guys, I encourage them to share the stuff that we do. Everybody has their different ways of doing it. My sous chef, he kind of likes to educate, and he writes out everything in the process of where we started from this and how it went the first time, whereas I'm more of a process guy. I like showing, in the middle of fabricating fish or beef or something like that, or kind of the steps to getting to dishes. So all around, I think it's a good thing. It's definitely positive for the most part.
Yep, I agree. Totally. What are your thoughts on local and sustainable sourcing?
I love it whenever possible. I coming from San Diego, in Southern California, I mean, it seems everything is growing all the time, year round. I know a few times I had to go, to the internet or something to double check on something as far as the seasonality of it, because in California, you're usually getting peak produce, pretty much year round due to the weather, the climate, and that nature. And so being there with everything growing around, it was kind of the norm. Everybody's using stuff locally. I mean, I'm here in Florida now and still getting stuff from California, but moving out here, the diversity in some of the ingredients, there was tons of things that I haven't seen. I'm sure there's hundreds, maybe thousands more ingredients, produce stuff that I haven't gotten my hands on. But to come here and it be a little bit more unique in the weather, not everything grows here in Florida. It's some of the stuff that does grow, it grows a little bit different, in size or flavor, et cetera. So I think it's important. We try to do it whenever possible. Any chance I get to support local farms, local vendors, local suppliers, local artisans, I jump on it. But at the end of the day, we're as chefs, we're looking for quality stuff. We're looking for good stuff. And if we could take off some travel time or some shipping time by getting it locally, or it grows better in Florida because it's so hot and humid, the weather permits, we'll get it from here. We'll get it local. And as far as what is local, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it could be right in the same city, same state, and it could be the region as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, absolutely. What do you think about the Florida food scene in general? How is it evolving? Has it changed since you've been here?
I think so. It surprised the heck out of me when I got here 5 years ago. Miami, obviously, just an electric, buzzing city. There's tons of big names, yourself and the long list of just super, super, super talented men and women out there doing their things, from the celebrities to the local guys. So it surprised me at first. And then I think, in my opinion, in the last 5 years, it is just grown through the roof. I mean, when I got here, just speaking about Miami, 5 years ago, I got on a bus to go do a farm tour. And on that bus was like Della Hyman, Pablo Zitzman, Tamer Harpke, and back then I remember Tamer just handing out business cards saying that he was starting, a little farm, or he was starting this thing with microgreens. And since then, I mean, a year or two later, I was buying his stuff there at the Palms. And then I continue to follow him. And I mean, he's doing amazing and just expanding his farm and the amount of stuff that he has growing there. And then, of course, I don't think I have to mention what Della did with her team over there at the Wynwood Yard. I don't think it was even built, or maybe it was just the original little juice bar that was there at the time. And she was kind of promoting that on this bus tour. And I mean, she's opened that thing and grew it, and it's been successful and closed down and even moved on. So in my opinion, it's a top food city. It's grown tremendously. Now to kind of switch.
So you would say it's a food city?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think anybody who says that it's not, they got to rethink that. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
And would you say that South Florida has a different food scene than Central Florida? If so, how do they differ?
I think so. When I was down, for my experience, definitely a little bit more mixed in the types of cuisines, the people that are down there as well. And because of, I think, the full just like gamut of celebrity chefs and top chefs and then just local talent that's in there, that makes for the diversity, I think, to grow even more, because we're always trying to be creative and do something different. So I think just with that included, it's just very, very, very diverse. And I think they're more, what I got was they were more confident. The Miami chefs and the Miami food scene, it's kind of, they know what they're doing and they know where they're going. Whereas when I moved up here, it seemed it was more of, the food scene was, everybody kind of had a chip on their shoulder. But don't get me wrong, there's some amazing talent up here. And but as far as the chip on the shoulder, I think because Orlando maybe got the rap of just being Disney World, and maybe some of the local people got overlooked. But if you think about it, you kind of have the same thing here, not on the same scale as Miami, but you have the Disney area and the Disney Springs area that has just next door of celebrity, big name chefs, Morimoto, Art Smith, Jose Andres, etc. And then you got some great talent. Norman Van Aken had a couple places up here. And then a lot of these new guys coming up. We were just able to do a dinner with Greg Ritchie and his team over at SoCo that's been kicking butt for the last 5 years in downtown. People sprouting up with new products. There's a guy growing mushrooms in downtown Orlando, nearby Naturals, like these super cool exotic mushrooms. So they're building it up here. I think Orlando is probably just behind Miami a little bit.
Okay. And what's your idea of American cuisine?
Honestly, chef, when you say that and I preach it, it's just wide open. I go back to my upbringing. I mean, just my household alone. My mother was Brazilian. My father was African American. So I had from Oklahoma. I had South American food and Southern American food just at my dinner table regularly. And, my dad was in the military, so all of our friends were from all over the place, from everywhere. So, we would eat stuff like chicken adobo. It was like a once a week meal for us. My mom
Yeah.
coming from Brazil, there are people who do rice with pretty much everything, or rice is a huge staple. So we had rice all the time, but we lived in Japan. So my mom cooked it Japanese style, in a rice cooker. It was the fluffy kind, not so much of
Yeah.
what she had growing up. So that just screams diversity. It screams just open and just influenced by anything pretty much. So American cuisine to me is it's very broad, although it can also be specific in the sense of kind of a mashup of things, whether it be ingredients, technique, traditional dishes or what have you.
Okay. And what do you think is like the big difference between a hotel chef and a restaurant chef? Is there really a difference?
You know what? That's a good question. Is it really a difference? Because now I could say I don't know. I think of a while back, maybe 5-10 years ago, again, I can only speak for my experiences, but I thought that it was maybe kind of where chefs went to finish their careers. It was always older guys. You had obviously more of a corporate structure in the sense of if you're in these big hotel groups. But what I found, is I've been blessed, and I just really hope it continues. And I'm sure other chefs experience this as well, but I just hope it continues to go this way, is ownership allowing the chef freedom. They have the hotel or the resort or whatever in their concept. But if you have a restaurant, that concept could be created by the owners or the corporate team or what have you. But put a chef in there that's, food driven and it's going for flavor, and kind of let it be a chef driven restaurant. So I think that's changed a bit, but there's obviously the other differences in restaurant chefs versus hotel or resort chefs in the sense of the size of the operation, the things that we do on our daily. The restaurant guys, I will be a restaurant guy till I can't cook anymore, till I'm long gone. That's my thing, the pace, all of that stuff that's involved in the restaurant. But there's a lot more than that when you're in a hotel or a resort. You have banquets and catering. You have in-house. Usually there's, like in my case, there's an employee cafeteria of some sort. A lot of times multiple outlets. But what I find in that is no day is the same. No day is the same. One day I'm doing your good old roasted potatoes, airline chicken breast, and asparagus for 300 people. And then the next day I have an Americas chef's table in my restaurant, so those things are great. It can be tough and it makes it hard sometimes. I do think the restaurant chefs out there, those are our rock stars, the ones that are kind of out in front more, whether it be media or just in the community. Sometimes the hotel and resort guys are undercover or behind the scenes more. But I've been seeing that change. When you go to an event now and you see guys from these big box hotels at these same events, and they're putting out food that's just as amazing as everybody else. So I think it's changed a bit, but there still kind of is that stigma, I feel, especially for the bigger hotels. That's kind of where you go to end your career, and you have a lot of restraints on you and things like that, which, in a sense, some of that is true. There's a lot of guidelines and things like that, but I wouldn't look past it. I would tell, if I was to speak to some culinary kids or just even younger cooks or younger chefs, don't look past it. Don't turn down or not give it a chance to a restaurant or hotel because of that stigma or what you kind of feel. There's definitely some great opportunity.
Yeah. And what would you say is happening to the culinary job pool?
Oh, I don't know. I wish. Can I turn this around and ask you, Chef, what is going on?
Well, I'm having an issue staffing my restaurant in Miami. I don't know if you're having that same issue. I feel like there's a lack of true passion. I think that a lot of TV chefs have made this career seem like you're going to go and have a show, like, come out of culinary school and just have a TV show and 100 restaurants and that's it. And they don't want to put in the work. And once they step in a kitchen, they're like, this is too much for me. And they walk out. That's what's going on in Miami. I don't know up there. What do you think?
You're right on. That's it seems like that's becoming the norm. And honestly, Chef, when I talk to other chef friends that are across the country and I have a ton down there, I'm hearing the same thing. It's very unfortunate, but it kind of, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just about whether you go to school or not, everybody wants to be a chef, but nobody wants to be the chef kind of thing,
right.
And
yes.
and that's the work and all that you mentioned, and the it's hard, it's hard.
Yeah.
Even sitting, I'm air quotes on top as the executive chef, it's still hard. It's still tough work.
Right.
Not a day goes by that I'm not stretched out. Even an easy day was still pretty hard in some aspect of the game. There was something difficult, but again, I think you said it down right. It's just the hard work that it takes in the beginning and the kind of the tall grass that you got to walk through or cut through, in order to get rank, in order to move up in the position. And one thing I always share with the young guys and girls is it's going to get harder before it gets easier.
Absolutely. That's actually spot on. Yes. Chef, any closing statements that you would like to share with us?
No, you know what? I have to tell you again, I really appreciate you having me on. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I've actually met you a few times, just in a handshake and hi and bye. I saw you at Beard and Ball.
I remember you. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I've seen you down in Miami a few times. I think we did some events. We were at some of the same events, but it was a pleasure speaking with you for this amount of time.
The pleasure was mine. The pleasure was mine.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. Anytime.
Thanks for listening in today. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app and leave a review on iTunes. We love your feedback. If you have an idea for a show topic or guest you would like to see here on Chef AF, make sure to send it to producer@foodabletv.com. Also, if you like this show, you'll love some of our other podcasts. Just search Foodable Network on iTunes to get access to all the amazing culinary content.